as parents, we try to protect our children as much as possible, give them all the encouragement they needed, and help them succeed at everything they do.
But as hard as it may be, letting your kids fail from time to time will actually help them in the long run. AMY McCREADY is a Today's Mom contributor and author of If I Have to Tell You One More Time.
And Jennifer Hartstein is a child and adolescent psychologist and the author of Princess Recovery. Welcome again, ladies. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
So you say something like this: if they fail, we fail too. Is that what we're really talking about? Is that it's all about us? Down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. You know, I think that at the end of the day, we put so much effort into raising children. Parents put so much effort into it that it's a reflection back on them, that there is this kind of sense of hubris, this false pride that if they succeed, we succeed. There's truth there, and how are they going to perpetuate that and keep that going if they never learn how to fall down on occasion?
Well, that's the key, yeah.
Well, I think, too, for a lot of parents, you know, they feel like the stakes are too high. You know, the landscape is so competitive. One misstep or one bad grading period may mean the difference between getting into college or not.
But that's the reality, isn't it, Hunter? Because you just said
I couldn't get into college right now. No, there's no way.
It's so competitive.
I think there's a difference between kids, when kids are failing, but their parents are meddling and preventing them from having that stumble. In other words, if they don't get an internship here at NBC, the mom might be calling and saying, why didn't my kid get the internship? I think there's an extra added layer of like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and I think when we step in and rescue, we send the message that failing is bad. It should be avoided at all costs. But that's really short-term parenting, because they never, if we don't let them do that, then they never learn, you know, the resilience and the hard work and perseverance that comes from failing and moving on.
My dad used to say, and I forgive me for always quoting him, but he used to say, I love you too much to deny you the privilege of making mistakes. Which is an unbelievable thing to say.
It is, and so powerful, because the fact is that you learned then how to tolerate disappointment. You learned how to persevere. You learned how to say...
Be a gracious loser.
You learned to be a gracious loser, and you also learned how to problem solve. The problem that I see a lot of the times, especially in my practice, is parents who are too meddlesome, who swoop in and try and solve. The problem is we're now raising a generation of kids who have no idea how to solve their own problems.
Rude awakening,
and what's happening? So we have kids leaving college. We have kids not being able to get out of high school successfully.
The dropout rate in college is unbelievable.
Really because they can't succeed. They don't know how without someone holding their hand.
Don't you think for a lot of kids, like if kids are involved in sports, let's pretend, even if their parents are pushing them always to succeed, they know that as hard as they might try in that basketball game, no matter how much sweat and everything they put into it, they may lose that game, and they may have to have good sportsmanship at the end and all those things. You're learning lessons in other places about failing, aren't you, than just your parents?
Absolutely. But I think you also have parents sometimes who will then call the coach and say, well, if you had played my child more, we would have won that game.
There was a time for that, though, isn't there? There was a time for a parent to get much, much more involved.
Well, I think it depends on where the child is in the process. So we want to let them fail. We want to let them make mistakes so they can learn from it. However, if it's getting into a situation where there's a health and safety issue for your child or somebody else, or they're clearly beyond their capabilities, then you can kind of step in, but do so in a way that's supportive and training them to get through it rather than just making everything all better.
If kids don't fail, I mean, are they more, let's pretend a kid is playing and they're not good at it and they don't like that, and aren't they more likely to quit? Shouldn't the parents say, look, just hang in there, give it some more time, see what's going on?
You can, and I would suggest setting a deadline. You know, say, you committed to play for a season, the team is relying on you for the season. At the end of the season, let's evaluate what's going on, and then you don't have to play again. When I was a kid, I didn't want to go to dance class anymore. My mom said, we paid for dance class. You're going to sit and watch for a little bit. And I sat there and realized, oh, maybe I do want to do that. You know,
get up. I didn't
want to, and I didn't want to, and I was pretty strong about that. So I think the fact is that it was giving me a deadline of saying, well, you have to do it till this time, and then we can reevaluate it. Gives me a sense of empowerment, because maybe I'll try harder, maybe I won't, but it keeps me involved in that.
The truth is, if you get something you haven't deserved, you will never treat it with the respect, and you'll never. You have to earn your credits, what merit you get in life.
And I think we have to set the expectation that we want to take risks. We want our kids to fail, because in many ways, failure is the key to success. You know, look at so many successful people. It's because
the best way to learn.
Amen.
Thanks, ladies. Thank you. You can go to klgandhoda.com and send your parenting questions to AMY McCREADY.